Hi guys, this is Bhavya, your technical trainer. Currently working as a network engineer in one of the Japanese-based company which is located in Bangalore. So parallelly, I'm working as a freelancer in Apponix Academy. So I work for the courses like Linux, AWS, DevOps. So I'm a Linux certified and as well as AWS certified. So today, we'll deep dive into one of the most important concept like user and group management in case of Linux. Okay, so as the slide I'm showing, so you can see Linux operating system. So it is a multi-user operating system. Multi-user operating system in the sense multiple people can able to access this particular machine. Okay, so single machine can be accessed by multiple users either remotely, so or you can access physically at the same time. So what happens here? So security is plays a very important role. How will you securely create the users? How will you maintain the security while accessing the users? That is what we are going to study in user and group management. So how will you securely create a user credentials, and the fields of the user management, and how if the particular user has to be added for some domain group, so how will you add this particular user for a group? So these things are covered in user and group management in case of Linux. So you can see, so so when you see each and every user will be having a unique name and as well as the user ID. Okay, in order to log in order to access any files, so user informations, in order to check the home directory, everything. So slowly, step by step, we will go for so one by one. So very first thing is I will show you how to create the users in Linux machine. Okay, so we are using virtual machine environment. So let me show you. So let me log into my machine, virtual console. Okay, so this is my virtual machine environment. So let me enter the password. Yes. So you can see. So the very first thing is, so how to create a user in order to access anything on this Linux machine securely. So that is what user management concept. So creating the user. How will you create it? See, in Linux, everything is command line. Okay, so that is through the help of commands, you will be creating users, managing the users, group, so everything. So the very first thing is the creating the users. So let me create it. Okay, so you have to use user add. This is the syntax to create a user, and you can give any name. Okay, so I will give it as apx apponix hyphen user. So let me create a user by name apponix hyphen user. So now how will you check? So where exactly this users database is located? Okay, so this users database you can check it in. So vim slash etc slash passwd. Okay, so when you see here, so you can see, so one user by name Apponix hyphen user created. So with all the fields, all the respective fields, these are the database related to the specified user called as Apponix hyphen user. So let me come out of this. So this database includes password. Okay, so you can see password, user ID, group ID, G echoes, home directory, and as well as the login shell. So these are all the different types of database that is located so on a specified user account. Okay, so how will you manage this all the seven fields? So that is nothing but user and as well as group management. So let me come out of the console. So now let me set the password. Okay, so let me set the password here. So how will you set the password? Setting the user password, as I told you, security credentials we are providing. So therefore, let me set the password, that is passwd username. So that is apx hyphen user. So that means for this particular user, you are setting the password. Okay, so let me give the password. Okay, whatever we type, so it will be invisible, because for security reasons, so this field will be encrypted. Okay, so therefore while typing carefully you have to type the characters. So therefore you can see password has been set. So where will you check this database? So the password which you have created, So will be in the separate path, that is /etc/shadow. Okay. So when you see here, you can see apx hyphen user is the user I have created. Okay. So if you want to check the database, password database, you can see the second field of /etc/shadow is the password. It is an encrypted password. So I have given the password as Red Hat. Red Hat password I have given, but it is encrypted. In order to maintain the security, so the content in shadow will always be encrypted one. Okay. So this is how you have to create it. Okay. So now, so let me modify user attributes. Okay, let me modify some user attributes. User attributes are nothing but, as I told you, 7 fields will be there in the user attributes. Okay, so that means, so user ID, group ID, general electronic comprehensive operating system, that is G equals, home directory, bin bash. So these are all the user attributes. Okay, so now one of the attributes I will show you. So how will you change the login name of the user? So you can see, so when I go for the specified path /etc/passwd, so you can see all the 7 fields for the user account, complete 7 fields, attributes, what I said you. So you can see this is the username. Okay, so this is about the password. So let me tell you. Okay, so this is the complete. When you create any user generally, so you will be having the 7 fields. This is the user attribute. Okay, so you have 7 different types of attributes will be there. Okay, attributes will be there. So the very first field, what we will call it as, okay, so this is the username. Okay, second thing is the password field. It is password. Third one, so it is user ID. Every user will be having a unique identity. So, and so this is a group ID. Group ID. If the user has been added for a specified group, so then it is a group ID. So this is the extra information. If you want to add any extra information for this user, okay, so for example, phone number or any certification, so number, if you want to add it, so then you can add this general electronic comprehensive operating system. Okay, so G equals information. So next comes the home directory of the user. Every user, so whatever the project that is done by this particular user, whatever he saves in the database, everything will be saved in the home directory. So this is home directory. Okay. So this is a home directory. The last field is the shell environment. Okay, so this is called as login shell. So login shell will tell you, so whether this particular user is an active state or inactive state. Okay, so whether anybody can able to log into that particular shell. Okay, so whether he is an active, so nobody can able to log in means he will be in an inactive state. Okay, so that means if the account is in locked state, okay, nobody can able to log into his home directory or his user account ID. Okay, so unlocked state means, so anybody can able to log into the particular user account. So that is about the login shell. So now one of the attribute I will show you how to change it. So that attribute is login shell, that is this particular username. Okay, so now see, right now what username is there? So we have the username apx hyphen user. So this is the username. So now I want to just change the login name, that's all. Login name, I want to change it. Okay, this attribute I want to change it. So how will you change it? Let me change this. Okay, so see right now, so we have apx hyphen user here. Okay, so how will you change the attribute of this means? So user mod, since the user is already present, we will use it as user modification for existing user. User mod, so we use -l. So let me give the new name for this user. Okay, so I will make it as new hyphen apx user. I will make this for which user I'm making. I am making it for this user. So that means only the login name will change. Okay. So let me see. So where will you check it? Slash etc slash passwd. So this is the path where you want to check. So when you see, now you can see. So previously it was having only apx hyphen user was the name. So now what happened? I just changed the login name only. So that means when you reboot the system, so on the front end of the screen, login page, you will get only this particular name. But you can see the home directory, it will not change. Okay, home directory will not change. Only the user login name if you want to change it. So this is the way you have to change it. So similarly, okay, so modifying the user attributes. Okay, so if you want to delete the user account, for example, if the particular user so has been removed, okay, so then user account should also be removed. So then how will you delete the user? So then, so what will you do? User del, so username. Okay, so now you have to give this particular username. Okay, so that is new, so hyphen apx user. Okay, so this user I want to delete it. Okay, so therefore, so this user account got deleted. So let me check it. When you go for attributes slash etc slash so passwd, so you can see. Okay, so that particular user does not exist. User has been deleted. Okay, user got deleted. Okay, so now, so as I told you, user database file. Database file means where exactly the data of the particular user account is located. So I have explained you. So slash etc passwd is the path where you can see all the 7 fields, your user attributes. So when it comes to slash etc shadow, you can check the password of the user account. Okay. So this is the database file. Okay. So now let me go for the group management. So why group is required? So, and what is the purpose of using group? So I will tell you. See, so in IT environment, we have multiple groups. Okay, the what we'll call it as domains. Okay, you might be working in development, you might be working in research and development, you might be working in testing environment. Okay, you might be working in so quality assurance top level domain. Okay, so the different environments will be there. So therefore, different groups will be created. Okay, different groups will be created. For the respective groups, users will be added. Okay, so assume that this is so developers. Okay, group. So this might be testing. Okay, testing group. So this will be admin group. Okay. So what happens based on the domain, the group will be created and the set of people will be added. So here, so all the people users by D1, D2, D3, so will be added. Okay. So when it comes to testing, so testing people will be added. So T1, like any name it might be, T2, T3. Okay. So for admin level, so admin people will be added here. Okay. So like even, so just for your understanding, I'm mentioning the A1, A2 characters itself. So added. So how will you do this when it comes to Linux bash environment? So that I will show you. So first thing is, let me create a group. Okay. So how will you create a group? So that is, okay, group add. So let me create a group by name developer. Okay. So I've created one group called as developer. So now I want to add the user for this particular group. Okay, so how will you add the user for this group based on the domain? So there is a developer group created. So what all the project they are doing, okay, so what all the source code files they want, everything is available in this group. People should be added for this particular group to access these files, right? So therefore, so how will you add the users for the group? So very first thing is users should be present. Okay, so let me create one user by name dev. Okay, so dev1. Okay, so user add, so dev2, two users I will create. So let me add these users for the group. Okay, so how will you add it? So that is, since users are present, user modification. Okay, so you are adding the user for the group basically. So therefore, so minus small a capital G. Okay, so which group you want to add it? That is one. So I want to add this user dev1. Okay, so how will you check which is the attribute in order to check it? Okay, so that is vm space slash etc slash group. So when you see, so when you come down completely, so you can see, so there is a group called as developer one created. Okay, so and it has been added with this dev1 user. Okay, so these are all the attributes. X is the password field. So 1958 is nothing but group ID of this particular group. Okay, so that is developer one group. So this user has been added now. So let me add this dev2 also for this group. Okay, so so for this group, I am adding dev2. Yes. So when you check it, slash it is a group. Yes, you can see. So previously dev1. So now dev2 also added for this group. So how to add? Okay, so the specified user for the group, adding the users. So changing the group ownership of the file. So as I told you, so this same Linux machine will be used by the multiple people physically or remotely. So it should have a secure access basically. So how will you maintain that secured access? I will show you now. So you can see, you can change the ownership of the file. That means if you create a file, so who is the owner of the file will tell you the ownership. Okay, so I will show you. So you can see. So assume that I have a file. Okay, so testing. Okay, so hyphen new. I have this file. Okay, so when you check with lsld, so testing. Okay, so it will show the complete information. So who is having what? So here right now, root is the owner of this particular file. Okay, root is the owner of the file. It is showing ownership of the file. So I want to give the complete access for this user. Okay, so that is dev1 user. I want to make the owner of this testing hyphen new file. So as a dev1 user. Okay, so how will you make it? So what you have to do? So I will make, that is, I will change the ownership. Okay, so dev1. So what for which file? That is testing hyphen new. So for this file. So now you see when you check it. So you can see previously root was the ownership of the file, was the owner of the file. So now you can see who is the owner of the file. So dev1 is the developer one is the owner of this particular file. He is having complete access for this particular file. He can do modification, he can do delete. Okay, so he is having complete access authority to use this particular file. Okay, so that control access, to provide control access, you should know how to manage. So that is what user and group management. So coming to this, deleting the groups basically. How will you delete the groups? That is, so group del. So right now I have one group called as, so developer hyphen one. So group del. So this is the syntax we are providing in order to delete the group. Okay, so now how will you check it? Slash etc slash group. Okay. So this is the path where you want to check the list of groups. So developer, yes, no more exist. You can see. So only developer one and developer two users are there. So but groups are not available because that group is deleted. So this is how you will manage users and as well as groups. Okay. So group database, as I told you, if you want to check the groups which are created, okay, group related information. So you have to go for /etc/group /etc g shadow. So one more thing is, see, if you want to set the password for the group, okay, so if you want to set the password for the group, so g passwd. So okay, let me first, I have deleted the group, so let me create one more group add. So team, I will create one group by name team12. Okay. So for this group, I will set the password. So that is gpasswd12. Okay. So you want to set the password for that group. Okay. So now here, let me add the password. Re-enter the password. Yes. Okay. Now, if the password, okay, is set or not set, how will you check that particular attribute? So that is /etc slash so g shadow. So only shadow, it is like for a user management. If you go for g shadow, it is for a group management to check the password. So you can see. So when you come down, so team12, right now I have created the group. Okay. So for this particular group, so the password is set. If you want to check the password, so this is the database path, so where you want to check the password. Okay, so that is what here I have mentioned. Shadow, this file contains all the group members details at list basically. So example, as I told you, creating the user and groups, how will you add the users for the group? Okay, so yes, changing the ownership of the file, so deleting the user and group. So finally, if I want to conclude this, so what happens? So you have seen how we have created users, okay, adding the specified user for that group itself, okay, providing the access. So by providing the changing the ownership of the file for that user. So that is overall you are giving the control access for a user, okay, in order to use the entire machine safely in a secure manner. So that is why, so group management and user management so plays a major important role when it comes to Linux system administrator. Yes. So now, so let me go for one of the beautiful concept of AWS, that is EC2. We will call it as Elastic Compute Cloud. We will call it as. Okay. So yes. See, when it comes to server management, okay. So when it comes to server, so EC2. So we'll call it as Elastic Compute Cloud. It is, that is virtual servers, creating virtual servers. Okay, see, creating physical servers is difficult, complex in operations basically. So I'll show you. See, when it comes to, so physical server, okay, so physical servers, if you search for, so you can see these are all the physical servers. Okay, so physical servers, if you consider, if you just check with the hardware. Okay, different types of physical servers are there. Okay, so if you go for, so physical servers cost also. So you can see, so we have different categories of physical servers. Okay, so like different cost, like 1 lakh, 2 lakh. Okay, so more than that also, based on the use case, how your IT infrastructure, so your office environment is using the servers basically physically. So management is difficult. Okay, so when you configure, setup is complex basically. And you have to keep an administrator also to manage this physical servers. Set of physical servers forms the data centers like this, like this. Okay, you have seen about the Facebook servers. Okay, so like that, for example. So when you consider, so Facebook servers, server room, when you consider, see, this has to be well maintained in AC environment, because lot of heat gets dissipated when you store more and more, or when the data gets processed more and more. Okay, so how many Facebook accounts so we are having nowadays in this digital world? So all the accounts has to be managed. Okay, so that is through data centers. So set of physical servers forms the data centers like this. Okay, so you can see all rack of servers they are providing here. All the rack of servers you can see here. Okay, so only one set-up box I have shown you previously as a server. Now you can see, so set of rack of servers, very clearly it is mentioned, you can see. So rack of servers so forms a data center. So but why can't you take, okay, this physical server, so without no management, so without no maintenance, so through one of our beautiful service which is called as EC2. Okay, so okay, so what happens here, within a quick seconds, so we can manage, within a quick seconds we can create the servers, so without any management, without any maintenance. Okay, so and we have to keep another administrators. Okay, and we are paying for that also when you are maintaining this physically. So that entire thing will be reduced when it comes to so virtual server environment. Okay, automatically if you want to increase infrastructure, yes, you can increase the infrastructure also. Okay, that is scaling up and scaling down capacity is also very good. That is called as flexibility, what we will call it as. Okay, so how you will create a servers at a very quick rate, I will show you very first time. So when you go for a technical definition, so what is EC2? Elastic Compute Cloud, so where web services will be launched, so in a resizable compute service environment inside the cloud, and it is resizable also. Whenever you want, you can scale up and scale down based on the flexibility of use cases. So here, what is an instance? When you consider what is an instance, instance is nothing but a part of a main computer frame. Okay, a tiny computer, what we can say, in a single physical machine. Okay, so all these are tiny machines. So what you are saying, so we'll call it as a instances, we will call it as. Okay, so difference between a service and an instance, services will run in an instance basically. Okay, service will provide, so a one single task will be completed, all the set of tasks can be achieved by an instance basically. Okay, so we have so many type of services in AWS like S3, we have load balancers, CloudWatch, so many set of services. But if you want to execute everything, it has to be through AWS EC2 instances itself. Okay, so let me show you how to create this servers very quickly. So in a small demo, so let me log into my console. Okay, so within a few seconds, so no connecting physically, no management is required. Very quickly in any availability zone, in any region, you can create a servers basically. So you have, when you go for a search bar, so we have EC2. Okay, so you can say Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, launch an instance. As I told you, instance is the one, so where the services will be launched within an instance. So therefore, let me launch the instances. So let me create one Ubuntu server. Okay, so I will make it as Ubuntu server. Okay, yes. So these are all the parameters what we are using in order to create the server. That is, first thing is what type of OS you want to create this particular machine. Okay, so which type you want to select? Yes, I want Amazon Linux or Mac OS or Ubuntu or Windows. These are all the different categories of operating system to run a server. So therefore, so since I am creating Ubuntu machine, so therefore let me select Ubuntu. So okay. So you can say Amazon Ubuntu, so and so 24.04 version. So you have so many versions of Ubuntu 24, 22 Ubuntu Server Pro, 24 LTS. So all the different categories of AMI will be provided. AMI is nothing but Amazon Machine Image. It is the type of operating system to in order to create virtual environment. Okay. So and you can see the type of instance. Okay, so type of instances means the type of resources which you want to create the server. Okay, so when you take any cell phone or when you purchase any laptop, so we will be having some configurations for that laptop, right? For example, this much size of RAM should be there, this much size of zip GPU card should be there. So it has to have the clock speed of this type of processor should be there, like that. For your virtual server, what type of server you want to be created, instance type, so that we will call it as instance type. So we have different categories of instance. So that is, you have T3. So this is based on the workload. You can take it. Okay. So T3, T3 small. Okay. So flex large. Okay. So you have so many categories. Let me take T3 micro. So for my general purpose workload, and coming to the key pair. Key pair is nothing but it is a security key that is provided to log into your machine. Okay. So let me create a key pair. So just you give the name for your key pair. So I will make it as server. Okay. So create a key pair. See, once created, it automatically download as a key file. So the same key file, you have to use it in order to log into the machine. Okay. So network settings. Okay. So when it comes to network settings, here you are adding the firewall rules. So what you want to allow from your server. Okay. So what you want, which service to get inside the server. So that you are allowing. So that is through firewall settings. So here by default, it will allow SSH. So HTTPS traffic will be allowed from and as well as to your machine basically. Okay. So let me allow this HTTPS traffic. For example, if you are launching a web application, okay, so like web app, so many online applications. So if you want to launch inside your virtual server, then compulsorily HTTPS traffic has to be allowed inside your machine. Okay. So let me launch the instance very quickly. Okay, the server gets created in a virtual environment. We will call this as virtual server. So you can see, yes. So Ubuntu server got created. It is running. Okay, so let me connect this machine. Okay, so let me connect. Let me power on this machine. Connect it. Okay, so let me connect this machine very quickly. Yes. So you can see, so the server got created. So here, so you can perform the task. Okay. So this is how you will launch the server very quickly. So without managing, maintaining the physical servers. Yes. Okay. So how to run EC2 instances, as I told you. So what is AMI? Okay. So when we want to use which type of AMI, okay. So EBS, it is like your hard drive, which you want to attach for your machine as a storage. Okay. So what type of EBS depends on the load, workload. Okay. So if it is provisional IOPS, what happens? So workload with higher IOPS you require. So if you are doing general purpose task, okay, with minimum speed. Okay, so then what happens? So if you want general purpose type of EBS, magnetic is nothing but for high performance and so less frequently access data. So you can use magnetic type of so EBS. Okay, so then how you will select EBS? So security group firewall, and finally we have launched the server also. So this is how you want to launch the virtual servers on your AWS environment basically.